First-class passengers may now begin boarding through Gate C4. The morning sun streamed through San Francisco International Airport's glass panels, illuminating Terminal C, where Maya Richardson adjusted her sleeping 4-year-old daughter against her shoulder. Zara's natural curls brushed against the collar of Maya's Burberry blazer, a carefully chosen armor that spoke of success without saying a word. Business travelers filled the gate area, their quiet murmurs mixing with the gentle hum of distant aircraft. At the counter, gate agent Karen Matthews' practiced smile welcomed each passenger in the priority line, her voice warm and engaging as she discussed destinations and weather forecasts with every well-dressed white passenger who approached. That warmth vanished the moment Maya stepped forward. "Excuse me," Karen's voice cut through the air like ice. "This line is for first-class passengers only." Her gaze swept dismissively over Maya's designer outfit before lingering judgmentally on Zara's sleeping form. Maya felt her mother's words echo in her mind. "Always be twice as prepared because they'll judge you twice as hard." She maintained her composure, shifting Zara gently against her shoulder. "Yes, I'm aware," Maya replied evenly. "I have first-class tickets for myself and my daughter." She held up her phone, displaying their boarding passes. Karen's lips curled into a smirk. "These tickets? There must be some mistake." Her fingers tapped rapidly on her keyboard. "Where exactly did you get them?" "I purchased them through your airline's website," Maya responded, her voice steady despite the heat rising in her chest. 3 months ago. Behind her, a white couple in casual attire was directed to the first-class line without question, their tickets receiving only a cursory glance. Karen hummed, making an exaggerated show of scrutinizing the tickets on her screen. "And how exactly did you afford these?" The question hung heavy in the air, dripping with prejudice. Maya maintained her professional demeanor. "I don't believe my method of payment is relevant. The tickets are valid." "Well," Karen replied, her voice thick with condescension, "we've had issues with questionable upgrades recently. You'll need to move to the economy line while we verify these tickets." A businessman behind Maya interrupted. "Is there a problem? I'm running late." Karen brightened instantly. "No problem at all, sir. Let me help you right here." She attempted to wave him forward, clearly expecting Maya to step aside. Maya didn't budge. Instead, she reached for her phone, her fingers hovering over the keypad. "Let me save you some time," Maya said, her voice carrying clearly now. She dialed a number from memory, her Harvard class ring catching the morning light. "Marcus? Yes, it's Maya Richardson from Richardson Global Partners. We need to discuss your airline's interesting approach to customer service. Welcome to Tales of Light, where we shine a spotlight on moments that transform injustice into triumph. Today's story reveals how one woman's dignity and strategic patience turned a routine act of discrimination into a powerful lesson about underestimating others. This isn't just another story about prejudice. It's a masterclass in composure, intelligence, and the art of calculated resistance. What happened at Gate C4 that morning would reshape corporate policies, challenge deep-rooted biases, and remind us all that true power often lies in knowing exactly when to reveal your hand. Before we dive deeper into this remarkable story, take a moment to share where you're watching from in the comments below. Are you witnessing this from the bustling streets of New York, the sunny shores of California, or perhaps from somewhere across the globe? Your location adds another thread to our worldwide community of justice seekers and truth tellers. While you're at it, hit that like button if you've ever witnessed someone being underestimated. Let's build this conversation together as we explore how one woman turned prejudice into power. At 32, Maya Richardson had quietly built an empire that few in the business world dared to underestimate. Her journey began at Harvard Business School, where she graduated summa cum laude, earning both her MBA and a reputation for revolutionary thinking in tech ethics and corporate responsibility. As the youngest managing partner at Richardson Global Partners, she controlled an investment portfolio worth over $50 billion. Her firm's quarterly reviews could make or break Fortune 500 companies, and her signature on a deal could shift market trends overnight. The Wall Street Journal had dubbed her the Silent Storm, an executive who transformed industries without ever raising her voice. Maya's research on algorithmic bias in financial systems had revolutionized how major institutions approached artificial intelligence in banking. Her published works became required reading at top business schools, and her TED Talk on ethical investment strategies had garnered millions of views. She served on the boards of 3 major tech companies and advised several international financial regulatory committees. But her true passion lay in leveraging corporate power for social change. Through her position, she had orchestrated the removal of discriminatory CEOs, restructured toxic corporate cultures, and implemented industry-leading diversity initiatives. Her investment firm's equality metrics had become the gold standard for measuring corporate social responsibility. Beyond the boardroom, Maya founded the Richardson Initiative, a nonprofit organization providing full scholarships to minority women in STEM fields. The program had already launched the careers of over 200 young professionals, creating a network of brilliant minds reshaping the tech landscape. Yet Maya's most cherished achievement was raising her daughter Zara to understand that true power came not from titles or wealth, but from using one's position to lift others. Every morning, she showed Zara the same worn photograph her own mother had once shown her, a reminder that success wasn't just about climbing higher, but about building elevators for others to rise. Before every flight, Maya performed a ritual that grounded her in purpose. She would reach into her designer wallet and touch a weathered photograph, its edges soft from years of handling. The image, protected in a clear sleeve, showed a different Maya. A 12-year-old girl standing beside her mother at a bus stop, both wearing their Sunday best. The photograph held more than just memories. It carried the weight of a pivotal moment that shaped her future. Their pressed dresses and carefully styled hair told one story, but their eyes, filled with unshed tears and quiet determination, told another. The timestamp in the corner marked more than just a date. It documented the exact day Maya learned how the world really worked, and more importantly, how she would one day work to change it. That Sunday morning had started with such promise. Young Maya twirled in her new dress, powder blue with white lace trim, while her mother adjusted the matching ribbon in her carefully braided hair. They had saved for months for these outfits, choosing them specifically for their first ever first-class flight. The bus stop became their refuge after the airport incident. They sat there, 2 figures in their finest clothes, watching city buses splash through puddles left by the morning rain. Maya's mother kept her spine straight, her dignity intact, even as her hands trembled slightly while smoothing her skirt. A kind-faced woman at the stop had noticed their distress and offered to take their picture. "You both look too beautiful to not capture this moment," she'd said, holding up her instant camera. Maya's mother had almost declined, but something made her pause and nod. "Stand tall, baby," her mother whispered as they posed. "No matter what happens, always stand tall." The camera clicked, whirred, and produced the image that would become Maya's talisman. In that moment, despite their pain, her mother managed to smile. Not the bright smile from that morning, but one filled with quiet resolve. The photograph captured everything: their carefully chosen outfits, their dignified posture, and the mix of innocence and awakening in young Maya's eyes. Hours earlier, they had arrived at the airport with properly purchased first-class tickets to Atlanta. Tickets Maya's mother had bought by picking up extra night shifts at the hospital. Grandma Zara's funeral was the next morning, and this flight was their only chance to say goodbye. The gate agent had scrutinized their tickets with exaggerated suspicion, tapping at her computer while a line formed behind them. "There seems to be an issue," she'd announced loudly. "These tickets appear irregular." Maya watched other passengers, all white, some in casual clothes, board without question, their tickets receiving merely a cursory glance. "But I confirmed everything yesterday," her mother had explained, voice steady despite the growing knot of anxiety. She produced the confirmation email, her credit card statement, even her ID. The agent dismissed each piece of evidence with increasing irritation. "We're overbooked," came the final verdict, though plenty of first-class passengers continued boarding after them. "You'll have to take the next flight." But the next flight would be too late. Grandma Zara's funeral was at dawn, and this was the last connection that could get them there in time. Maya's mother had pleaded quietly, explaining about the funeral, about Grandma Zara's last wish to see her granddaughter one final time. The gate agent's response cut deep. "Maybe next time, you should stick to economy class. Some things just aren't meant for everyone." They watched their plane depart through the terminal windows, carrying away their chance to say goodbye to Grandma Zara. Maya never forgot the sight of her mother's reflection in that window, tears finally falling once she thought Maya wasn't looking. That evening, after they returned home from the bus stop, Maya's mother transformed their tiny kitchen table into a classroom of life lessons. Over cups of sweet tea and the last of Grandma Zara's pound cake recipe, she shaped her daughter's understanding of the world. "Baby, listen carefully," she began, her voice soft but firm. "This world's gonna try to keep you small. They'll use anything, your skin, your gender, your background, to make you feel like you don't belong in certain spaces. But that's their limitation, not yours. Your job isn't to fit into their boxes. Your job is to grow so big they can't ignore you." She reached across the table, taking Maya's small hands in hers. Her hospital ID badge caught the kitchen light, a reminder of the 3 jobs she worked to keep Maya in private school. "Always be twice as prepared," she continued, "because they'll judge you twice as hard. But never let them see you sweat. Your dignity is your armor, and your excellence is your weapon." Then she shared the strategy that would shape Maya's future. Don't waste energy fighting every small battle. Build yourself quietly, strategically. Learn their rules, master their game, then change it from the inside. Success isn't just about proving them wrong. It's about making sure the next generation of little girls never has to prove themselves in the first place. She pulled out a fresh notebook, writing Richardson's rules on the cover. "We're going to write down everything you need to know about moving through this world with grace and power. Rule number 1, your presence is not a mistake. Rule number 2, your excellence is not an accident." Maya's acceptance letter to Harvard Business School arrived on a Tuesday. She found her mother in their small kitchen, still in her nursing scrubs, and wordlessly handed her the envelope. Together, they read the full scholarship offer. A recognition of Maya's perfect GMAT score and innovative thesis on ethical corporate governance. At Harvard, Maya didn't just study business. She revolutionized how her peers thought about corporate responsibility. While others chased traditional success metrics, she developed new frameworks for measuring corporate ethics and inclusion. Her professors took notice when she challenged conventional wisdom, arguing that diversity wasn't just a moral imperative but a critical driver of innovation and profit. She graduated summa cum laude, but her proudest moment came during her commencement speech. From the podium, she spotted her mother in the audience, still in her hospital scrubs. She'd come straight from her shift. Maya dedicated her honors thesis to the woman who taught me that preparation meets opportunity at the intersection of excellence and dignity. The same day she received her MBA, 3 top consulting firms offered her positions. Maya declined them all. She had bigger plans. Maya's ascent through the corporate world was methodical and deliberate. She began at Goldman Sachs, where she quickly distinguished herself by developing an AI-driven model for identifying discriminatory lending patterns in banking. The project saved the firm millions in potential lawsuits and earned her a promotion to youngest vice president in the division's history. Within 3 years, she launched her own consulting firm, Richardson Analytics, specializing in ethical corporate restructuring. Her innovative approach caught the attention of tech giants and Fortune 500 companies. She didn't just advise on diversity initiatives, she transformed entire corporate cultures by linking executive compensation to measurable equality metrics. Her reputation for combining profit with purpose attracted powerful allies. When she identified systematic bias in a major tech company's hiring algorithm, instead of exposing them publicly, she presented their board with a comprehensive solution. The company not only implemented her changes, but also appointed her to their board of directors at age 28. Publications like Forbes and Financial Times took notice. Her TED Talk, The Economics of Equality, went viral, reaching millions. The Wall Street Journal profiled her methodology, dubbing it the Richardson Principle, the art of transforming corporate responsibility from a PR exercise into a profit driver. But her most significant achievement came when she engineered the merger between her firm and Global Partners Investment Group, creating Richardson Global Partners. The move wasn't just about growing bigger. It was about gaining the leverage to influence corporate America's biggest players. At Richardson Global Partners, Maya quietly amassed unprecedented influence. Her firm's quarterly investment reports became required reading in boardrooms nationwide. When she spoke, markets listened. When she invested, industries transformed. She developed a reputation for identifying companies ripe for ethical transformation. Her investment strategies weren't just about numbers. They scrutinized corporate culture, leadership diversity, and equality practices. Companies learned that earning her firm's backing meant committing to measurable change. Maya's power lay in her patience. She built relationships with key industry players, positioned allies on important boards, and created a network of influential professionals who shared her vision. Her firm's Equality Metrics Index became the industry standard for measuring corporate social responsibility. When she launched the Richardson Initiative for Women in Finance, providing mentorship and capital to minority female entrepreneurs, it wasn't charity, it was ecosystem building. Each success story added another powerful voice to her growing coalition of changemakers. When Maya named her daughter Zara after her grandmother, she added another dimension to her mission. Holding her newborn daughter, she understood her mother's sacrifices with new clarity. Every board meeting she dominated, every company she transformed, wasn't just about corporate change, it was about building a different world for Zara. She kept her grandmother's photograph next to Zara's bassinet, a reminder that progress spans generations. Maya wasn't just teaching her daughter about power, she was showing her how to wield it with purpose, ensuring Zara would inherit not just opportunities, but the wisdom to create them for others. Morning light streamed through the soaring windows of San Francisco International Airport's Terminal C, casting long shadows across the polished floors. The terminal hummed with the familiar rhythm of business travel, rolling suitcases, urgent phone calls, and the distant drone of announcements echoing through the vast space. Maya navigated the terminal with practiced ease, her Louboutin heels clicking against the floor as she carried sleeping Zara. Her daughter's natural curls brushed against the collar of her mother's precisely chosen Burberry blazer, the fabric's cost equivalent to 3 months of her mother's former nursing salary. Gate C4, filled with the usual Monday morning business crowd, executives in pressed suits, tech entrepreneurs in casual luxury wear, all radiating the entitled confidence of frequent first-class travelers. The digital display above the gate counter showed their flight to Atlanta on time, its first-class cabin nearly full. Behind the counter, gate agent Karen Matthews arranged her materials with meticulous precision, her name tag gleaming under the fluorescent lights, her practiced smile appearing and disappearing like a switch as she assessed each approaching passenger. First-class passengers for Flight 1382 to Atlanta may now begin boarding, Karen announced, her voice carrying the polished tone of customer service professionalism. Maya observed as Karen warmly greeted each passenger ahead of her, engaging in casual conversation about Atlanta's weather and recommended restaurants. Maya stepped forward, adjusting sleeping Zara against her shoulder. The moment Karen's eyes landed on them, her professional demeanor transformed. The warmth vanished from her voice, replaced by a sharp, clipped tone that cut through the ambient gate noise. "Excuse me." Karen's voice carried a note of authority tinged with suspicion. "This line is for first-class passengers only." She emphasized each word as if explaining to a child, her gaze dismissively sweeping over Maya's designer outfit before fixing on Zara's sleeping form. Maya maintained her composure, drawing from years of handling boardroom confrontations. "Yes, I'm aware," she replied evenly, her voice carrying the quiet confidence that had become her trademark. "I have first-class tickets for myself and my daughter." She held up her phone, displaying their boarding passes. Karen's expression shifted from dismissive to skeptical, her fingers hovering over her keyboard. "These tickets," she paused dramatically, "seem unusual for this flight." Her emphasis on unusual carried unmistakable implications. The surrounding passengers began to take notice, some pausing their conversations to observe the developing situation. Maya felt their eyes, remembering her mother's words about always being watched, always being judged. Karen's fingers danced across her keyboard, with exaggerated purpose, her performance designed for an audience. "I'll need to verify the method of purchase," she announced, loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. "We've had issues with unauthorized upgrades recently." Maya recognized the tactical humiliation attempt, a power play she'd witnessed countless times in corporate settings. "I purchased these tickets directly through your airline's website," she stated, her voice measured and clear. 3 months ago, to be precise." Karen hummed, skepticism dripping from every syllable. "And how exactly did you," she paused meaningfully, "acquire these tickets?" The question hung in the air, heavy with insinuation. "I'm curious," Maya responded, maintaining eye contact. "Do you typically question first-class passengers about their ability to afford their tickets?" She kept her tone professional, but with an edge that would have been familiar to any executive who'd faced her across a boardroom table. Karen's lips tightened. "We have protocols for suspicious bookings." She emphasized the word suspicious while scrutinizing Maya's boarding pass with theatrical intensity. "You'll need to step aside to the economy line while we conduct our verification process." The implied accusation was clear. In Karen's world, Maya couldn't possibly belong in first class legitimately. It was the same assumption Maya had faced and systematically dismantled throughout her career, just wearing a different mask. As Maya stood her ground, a white couple in casual athleisure wear approached the counter. Karen's transformation was immediate and striking. Her stern expression melted into warm hospitality, her voice rising with practiced cheerfulness. "Good morning, heading to Atlanta for business or pleasure?" Karen beamed, barely glancing at their tickets before waving them forward. The couple, wearing hoodies and designer sneakers, received immediate approval despite their casual appearance. Behind them, a white businessman in jeans and a polo shirt was met with the same welcoming demeanor. "Sir, would you like an update on your connecting flight?" Karen offered helpfully. not once questioning his first-class status. The contrast was glaring. No verification demands, no questions about payment methods, no suspicious glances. The same counter, the same flight, but an entirely different experience based solely on appearance. Maya noted each interaction, mentally documenting the disparity. In her corporate world, such obvious bias would trigger immediate HR interventions and policy reviews. Here it played out in plain sight, wrapped in the thin veneer of airline protocol. Zara stirred against Maya's shoulder, disturbed by the mounting tension. Her daughter's movement triggered something deep in Maya's core, a fierce protective instinct mixed with profound purpose. This wasn't just about a first-class seat anymore. It was about what her daughter would witness and learn from this moment. The gate area had grown unusually quiet, other passengers now openly watching the scene unfold. Some shifted uncomfortably, recognizing the discrimination, but remaining silent. Others pulled out their phones, sensing the approaching confrontation. "Ma'am, if you continue to be difficult," Karen's voice took on an edge of authority, "I'll need to call security. We don't have to serve passengers with attitude problems." Maya felt Zara's small hand clutch her blazer, and in that touch, she felt 3 generations of Richardson women. Her grandmother Zara, whom they never got to say goodbye to because of that missed flight. Her mother, who taught her to transform dignity into power, and her daughter, who would inherit a world she was about to change. The moment crystallized, and Maya reached for her phone. Not in anger, not in haste, but with the calculated precision that had made her legendary in corporate circles. If you're feeling the tension building at Gate C4, hit that like button right now. Here at Tales of Light, we believe in shining a spotlight on these pivotal moments that transform everyday discrimination into powerful lessons. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel, because what happens next will show exactly why underestimating others can be a costly mistake. Drop a comment if you're ready to see how Maya turns this situation around. Remember, sometimes the most powerful moves are made with perfect composure. While we pause at this crucial moment, take a second to reflect. Have you ever witnessed or experienced discrimination in a professional setting? Maybe you've been judged by your appearance, your accent, or your age. Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help others feel less alone. Think about it. How many times have we seen qualified professionals being questioned about their credentials, their status, or their right to occupy certain spaces? How many of us have had to maintain composure while proving we belong? Tales of Light creates a space for these conversations, because every story shared builds awareness and encourages change. Your experiences matter, and they're part of a larger narrative about transformation and justice. But before we continue with Maya's story, let me ask you this. What happens when someone with real power chooses the perfect moment to reveal it? When years of building influence, creating connections, and mastering the corporate world align in one decisive moment. Keep watching, because what's about to unfold at Gate C4 isn't just about one flight or one discriminatory incident. It's about how systematic change often begins with a single moment of calculated resistance. Maya isn't just fighting for her seat. She's about to demonstrate why appearance-based assumptions can cost an entire corporation dearly. Stay with us, because in the next few minutes you'll witness how one phone call can shake an entire airline to its foundation. Sometimes the biggest power moves come from the most unexpected places. Maya shifted Zara gently in her arms and reached for her phone with the practiced calm that had become her trademark in high-stakes negotiations. Her fingers found the number without needing to search. Direct lines to airline executives weren't in everyone's contacts, after all. "Let me save you the trouble of calling security," Maya said, her voice carrying just enough to draw attention from nearby passengers. She maintained unwavering eye contact with Karen while pressing the speaker button, ensuring every word would be clearly audible to those around them. The phone rang twice before connecting. The terminal's ambient noise seemed to fade as Maya's voice took on the tone her board members had learned to recognize, the one that preceded corporate earthquakes. "Marcus? Yes, it's Maya Richardson." She paused, letting the name land. "I'm currently at Gate C4 at San Francisco International, where I'm experiencing something rather interesting that I believe requires your immediate attention." Karen's expression flickered, the first crack in her authoritative facade. The name Richardson had registered, but she hadn't yet grasped the full magnitude of her mistake. Other airline staff behind the counter had stopped what they were doing, their instincts warning them that something significant was unfolding. "Yes, I'm here with my daughter," Maya continued, her voice steady and clear. "And I'm watching in real time as your airline demonstrates exactly why our upcoming quarterly review of transportation sector investments needs to be more thorough than initially planned. Marcus, I want you to listen carefully to what's happening," Maya continued, her speakerphone ensuring every word carried clearly. "Your gate agent, Karen Matthews, according to her name tag, has just suggested that my first-class tickets must be fraudulent because..." She paused meaningfully. "Well, let's be explicit about the assumptions being made here." The voice that responded through the speaker carried the unmistakable tension of a general counsel recognizing an impending crisis. "Maya, this is completely unacceptable. I'm pulling up your reservation now." "Oh, the reservation isn't the issue, Marcus. The tickets are perfectly valid, as you well know. The issue is that your airline, where you serve as general counsel, and where my firm holds significant voting shares, appears to have a systematic problem with profiling passengers." Karen's face had drained of color as the implications of voting shares sank in. Maya continued, her tone shifting to the one she used in boardroom confrontations. "I'm particularly interested in how this aligns with the diversity initiatives your CEO presented at last quarter's shareholders meeting. You remember that meeting, Marcus? Where we discussed the conditions for continuing our institutional investment position?" The terminal had gone silent enough to hear Marcus's sharp intake of breath. "Maya, I assure you, this will be addressed immediately. This isn't, we don't." "Don't tell me, Marcus. Show me. I believe your gate agent needs some immediate guidance on company policy. And afterward, we should discuss how this incident will impact our upcoming evaluation of airline industry holdings." The transformation in Karen's demeanor was immediate and dramatic. The condescending authority that had colored her voice moments ago evaporated, replaced by a growing recognition of professional catastrophe. Her hands, which had so confidently dismissed Maya's tickets earlier, now trembled slightly over her keyboard. "Miss Richardson, Karen stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "There seems to have been a misunderstanding." The word Richardson emerged with new understanding. No longer just a name on a ticket, but a name that appeared on quarterly reports and board meeting minutes. She began frantically typing, her previous show of verification replaced by genuine panic. The other gate agents stood frozen, watching their colleagues' authority crumble in real time. The security personnel Karen had threatened to call were now backing away slowly, suddenly fascinated by other areas of the terminal. The same fingers that had hovered suspiciously over the keyboard now raced to print new boarding passes, first-class seat assignments, and priority tags, anything to stem the tide of consequences now flowing from her earlier actions. The terminal erupted into a buzz of whispered conversations and not-so-subtle phone recordings. Passengers who had watched the discrimination unfold now witnessed its spectacular reversal, many with phones raised to capture every moment. A group of young black professionals in the economy line exchanged knowing looks and subtle nods of satisfaction. An older white businessman who had been previously waved through removed his AirPods, now fully invested in the unfolding scene. Two flight attendants paused their pre-flight preparations, recognition dawning on their faces as they connected Maya's name to recent corporate memos about institutional investors. "That's Maya Richardson," a tech executive in the priority line whispered loudly to his colleague. "She's on the cover of this month's Forbes. Her firm just led a billion-dollar tech acquisition." The same passengers who had remained silent during the discrimination now shifted uncomfortably, their earlier complicity exposed by Maya's revelation of power. Several reached for their phones, not just to record, but to search for the name that had made a gate agent pale and an airline's general counsel scramble to attention. Within hours, the incident at Gate C4 ignited a social media firestorm. Videos captured by passengers spread across platforms with stunning velocity. #First Class While Black started trending nationwide, followed quickly by Richardson Effect and Karen Gate. The original TikTok video posted by a tech employee in the boarding line accumulated 2.3 million views in just 3 hours. "Watch this airline mess with the wrong passenger. Plot twist at 2:45 became the day's most shared caption. Twitter threads dissecting Maya's composed takedown of corporate discrimination went viral, with business schools and DEI consultants using it as a real-time case study. LinkedIn exploded with professionals sharing their own stories of discrimination in travel and corporate spaces. Maya's profile gained 50,000 followers overnight, though she hadn't posted anything new. Corporate leaders and diversity advocates began sharing the video with pointed messages about the cost of discrimination in modern business. Instagram stories filled with side-by-side comparisons, Karen's dismissive treatment of Maya versus her deferential behavior toward other passengers. Celebrity influencers and social justice advocates amplified the story, each repost adding layers of commentary about systemic discrimination in corporate America. By evening, major news outlets were reaching out for comments, and the airline's social media team faced an overwhelming flood of mentions, tags, and demands for accountability. The incident had transformed from a local confrontation into a national conversation about power, prejudice, and corporate responsibility. The financial impact hit before the markets even opened. Pre-market trading showed the airline stock dropping 4% as institutional investors processed the viral videos and their implications. By the opening bell, Richardson Global Partners' influence in the transportation sector triggered a wave of nervous selling. Market analysts quickly connected the dots. Maya Richardson's firm controlled significant voting shares not just in this airline, but in 3 of its major competitors. Her mention of a quarterly review of transportation sector investments sent tremors through airline stocks across the board. By mid-morning, the airline stock had plunged 12%, erasing $1.8 billion in market value. Trading volumes soared to 8 times the daily average as hedge funds and institutional investors reassessed their positions. The company's bonds were downgraded by Moody's, citing concerns about corporate governance and potential regulatory scrutiny. Bloomberg terminals lit up with urgent analyses. Richardson Global Partners reviews airline holdings after discrimination incident. Wall Street Journal's breaking news alert read, "Viral discrimination video triggers aviation sector sell-off. Institutional investors on alert." The market's reaction reflected more than just this incident. It signaled a growing recognition that discrimination wasn't just a PR problem, but a material risk to shareholder value. By closing bell, the airline's market capitalization had shrunk by $2.3 billion, marking its worst single-day performance since the pandemic. The airline's communications team scrambled to contain an escalating PR nightmare. Their initial statement, a generic response about investigating the incident and commitment to diversity, only fueled public outrage. Social media users quickly dug up the airline's previous diversity claims, contrasting them with Maya's experience. Crisis management meetings ran non-stop as executives realized the scope of their problem. This wasn't just another viral customer service incident. It involved a prominent business leader with the power to influence institutional investors. Every major news outlet wanted comments, and their standard PR playbook proved woefully inadequate. Internal emails leaked showing panic at the highest levels. "This isn't just about one gate agent," wrote the VP of Communications. "Richardson Global Partners can trigger a domino effect across our entire industry." The CEO's demand for a quick fix revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of the situation's gravity. Corporate clients began calling, concerned about their own reputations. 3 major tech companies suspended their corporate travel contracts pending review of diversity practices. The airline's diversity training videos became objects of public ridicule as employees anonymously shared stories of similar incidents that had been ignored. The PR team's attempts to highlight their diversity initiatives backfired when journalists uncovered that their board of directors was 92% white, and their executive team had no black women in leadership positions. The airline's first official response proved catastrophically tone-deaf. Their CEO released a statement calling the incident an isolated misunderstanding and touting their award-winning customer service training. The backlash was immediate and severe. Corporate leadership completely misread the situation's magnitude. They offered Maya a year of free first-class travel, a gesture that demonstrated they fundamentally misunderstood both her position and the systemic issues at stake. Richardson Global Partners' response was swift. A public statement announcing a comprehensive review of all their transportation sector investments, specifically focusing on corporate culture and discrimination patterns. The airline's damage control efforts continued to misfire. They suspended Karen with pay, a move criticized as insufficient, while refusing to acknowledge the broader implications of her actions. Their HR departments claim that this incident doesn't reflect our values was undermined by hundreds of customers sharing similar experiences on social media. Internal attempts to rally employees behind corporate messaging failed when flight attendants and ground staff began anonymously sharing stories of witnessing systematic discrimination. The company's diversity and inclusion officer resigned, citing leadership's failure to grasp the fundamental issues at play. By day's end, the airline had managed to transform a single incident of discrimination into a case study of corporate crisis mismanagement, demonstrating exactly why Maya's firm was right to question their entire leadership structure. Richardson Global Partners' investigation team, led by former civil rights attorneys, uncovered a disturbing pattern within the airline's operations. Analysis of customer complaint data revealed over 2,300 reported incidents of racial discrimination in the past 3 years alone, most buried in corporate archives with minimal follow-up. The team's AI-driven analysis of gate camera footage from major hubs exposed systematic differences in how passengers were treated. First-class passengers of color were 3 times more likely to have their tickets verified than their white counterparts. The data showed that Karen's behavior wasn't an anomaly, it was part of an entrenched culture. Internal employee surveys obtained through whistleblower channels painted an even darker picture. 70% of minority staff reported experiencing or witnessing discrimination, with 40% saying they'd been discouraged from filing formal complaints. Training materials showed superficial coverage of bias issues, with no meaningful accountability measures in place. Most damaging was the discovery of an internal email thread between senior executives discussing a previous discrimination complaint. "These people need to understand their place," one vice president had written. "We can't let every upgrade request turn into a diversity issue." The email chain revealed a leadership culture that not only tolerated discrimination, but actively dismissed concerns about it. The investigation also uncovered that the airline's much-touted diversity initiatives were largely performative. Less than 0.1% of their annual budget was allocated to actual diversity programs, despite public claims of making it a top priority. The legal avalanche began with a class action lawsuit filed by a coalition of civil rights organizations using Maya's incident as a catalyst. The lawsuit detailed 47 similar incidents, backed by surveillance footage, witness testimonies, and internal documents obtained during the investigation. Maya's legal team, though not directly involved in the class action, provided devastating evidence. They submitted analysis from aviation experts showing how the airline's discretionary upgrade policies had been systematically used to discriminate against passengers of color. The data revealed that black first-class ticket holders were 6.8 times more likely to be questioned about their ticket's legitimacy than white passengers. The Department of Transportation launched its own investigation, focusing on potential violations of federal anti-discrimination laws. Their preliminary findings suggested widespread and systematic discrimination in the airline's boarding practices, customer service protocols, and complaint handling procedures. 3 state attorneys general joined the fray, initiating separate investigations into the airline's practices within their jurisdictions. Their joint statement emphasized the need for structural change in the aviation industry's approach to equality and passenger rights. The Securities and Exchange Commission opened an inquiry into whether the airline had misled investors about its diversity initiatives and risk management practices. The key question: had the company's public statements about its commitment to diversity constituted securities fraud, given the reality of its practices? These overlapping investigations created a legal quagmire that threatened to drain the airline's resources and occupy its leadership for years to come. The corporate exodus began with Silicon Valley. 3 major tech companies, all with strong public commitments to diversity, announced the suspension of their corporate travel contracts within 24 hours of the investigation's findings becoming public. Their combined contracts represented $48 million in annual revenue for the airline. Management consulting firms followed suit. McKinsey, which had been one of the airline's biggest corporate customers, cited irreconcilable differences in corporate values as they terminated their $30 million annual contract. Deloitte and Boston Consulting Group quickly followed, triggering a domino effect across the professional services sector. Fortune 500 companies began reviewing their travel policies. A leaked memo from a major pharmaceutical company's diversity officer read, "Association with this airline represents a material risk to our corporate reputation." By week's end, 12 Fortune 500 companies had suspended or terminated their contracts. The impact cascaded through the business travel sector. Investment banks canceled their premium travel arrangements, universities suspended their preferred carrier agreements, and government agencies began reviewing their contracts. Each withdrawal came with public statements emphasizing commitment to equality, turning routine contract terminations into PR opportunities for departing clients. The financial impact was staggering. Corporate and institutional clients had accounted for 60% of the airline's first-class revenue and 40% of its business-class bookings. As contracts continued to dissolve, industry analysts estimated the airline would lose over $300 million in premium revenue annually, not counting the ripple effects through their route network and partnership agreements. The airline's descent into financial ruin was swift and irreversible. Within 3 months, their stock had plummeted 68%, wiping out $8.4 billion in market value. The exodus of corporate clients, combined with a consumer boycott and mounting legal costs, created an insurmountable cash flow crisis. Credit rating agencies downgraded the airline's debt to junk status, making it impossible to refinance their aircraft leases or raise new capital. Their bonds traded at distressed levels, reflecting the market's view that bankruptcy was inevitable. The company's attempts to sell premium landing slots at major airports only highlighted their desperation. The final blow came when their regional partners began terminating contracts, citing reputational risk. Without these crucial feeder routes, the airline's hub-and-spoke system collapsed. They were forced to cancel routes, ground aircraft, and lay off thousands of employees. Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing became inevitable. The court documents revealed the staggering cost of systemic discrimination. $300 million in lost corporate contracts, $150 million in legal settlements, and an estimated $2 billion in brand damage. The once proud airline, with its 45-year history, would be carved up by competitors, its assets sold at auction, its name becoming a cautionary tale in corporate America. 6 months after the incident, Karen Matthews appeared on a national morning show. Gone was the imperious gate agent. In her place sat a chastened figure who had become the unwitting face of corporate discrimination. "I was part of a bigger problem," she admitted, her voice trembling. "We were trained to look for unusual, first-class passengers, but nobody ever said what unusual meant. We all knew. We just never talked about it." Her confession revealed how implicit bias had been baked into daily operations through unofficial protocols and unwritten rules. The interview went viral for a different reason than the original incident. Karen detailed how corporate culture had normalized discrimination, making it seem routine and acceptable. "We thought we were protecting the airline's premium image," she explained. "Instead, we destroyed it." Her testimony in the class action lawsuit proved devastating. She provided documents showing how gate agents were unofficially rewarded for maintaining standards, a euphemism for profiling passengers. After the interview, she became an unlikely advocate for corporate diversity training, speaking at industry conferences about the cost of unchecked bias. The airline industry underwent a seismic shift in the wake of the collapse. Major carriers rushed to overhaul their diversity policies, hiring independent auditors to review their practices. Training programs were completely restructured, with explicit focus on eliminating bias in customer service. Richardson Global Partners leveraged their influence across the transportation sector, requiring concrete diversity metrics as a condition for continued investment. Their Equality in Transit initiative became the new industry standard, with measurable benchmarks for everything from hiring practices to customer treatment. The incident transformed how the entire industry approached discrimination. Airlines began publishing quarterly diversity reports alongside their financial statements. Board compositions changed, corporate cultures shifted, and passenger profiling became a career-ending offense. What started as one confrontation at Gate C4 had evolved into a complete reimagining of what equality in air travel meant. Proof that systemic change often begins with a single moment of resistance. 1 year later, Maya sat in her office overlooking Atlanta's skyline, watching Zara color at her small desk in the corner. Her daughter was drawing an airplane, adding every color in her crayon box to its wings. "Mommy, remember when you made the mean lady nice?" Zara asked, looking up from her artwork. Maya smiled, remembering how that day had changed everything. "I didn't make her nice, baby," she replied softly. "I showed her why being mean was wrong." Zara nodded, returning to her drawing. "I'm making this plain for everyone," she declared. Maya reached for her wallet, pulling out the worn photograph that had guided her journey. The image of her 12-year-old self and her mother at that bus stop remained clear, though the edges had softened with time. She remembered her mother's words, Grow so big they can't ignore you. Now she traced her finger over her mother's face, whispering, "We did it, Mama. We grew so big, they had to change." The photograph no longer carried the sting of that painful day. It had become a testament to promises kept and battles won. The airline industry's transformation wasn't instant or complete, but measurable changes took hold. New training protocols were implemented across major carriers. Discrimination complaints now triggered immediate corporate review. Maya's firm continued monitoring progress through quarterly diversity audits, maintaining pressure for sustainable change. For Zara's generation, the story became less about one dramatic confrontation and more about the persistent work of holding institutions accountable. Small victories accumulated into meaningful progress, proving that change, while gradual, was possible through strategic, sustained effort. If this story resonated with you, make sure you're subscribed to Tales of Light. Hit that notification bell to join our community of truth seekers and change makers. Every week, we bring you powerful stories of resistance and transformation. Your subscription helps us continue sharing these crucial narratives of justice and accountability. Now we want to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed discrimination in a professional setting? What strategies have you used to document and address unfair treatment? Share your experiences in the comments below. Think about this. How do we balance composure with conviction when confronting bias? What role do allies play in creating institutional change? Remember, every story shared builds our collective understanding of how to effectively challenge discrimination. Whether you're in the boardroom or the break room, your perspective matters. Let's continue this conversation in the comments section. Your insights might help someone else navigate similar situations. Stay tuned to Tales of Light for more powerful stories of justice and transformation. From corporate boardrooms to everyday encounters, we're committed to showcasing moments where courage meets strategy. Our upcoming videos will feature more real-world examples of people who turned discrimination into catalysts for change. Your story could be next.